When you buy a new desk or a bookshelf, have you ever stopped to wonder what story it's really telling? Because beyond that price tag, there's a whole other story. A story of costs and risks that companies are, well, finally being asked to share. So let's get into it and uncover the financial story that's hiding inside the very things we build our lives with. And this, right here, is what's forcing that change. We're talking about the SASB standards, which, as of 2022, are now part of the IFRS Foundation. Now, if that sounds a little technical, just know this. That's the same group that oversees global financial accounting. This is a huge deal. It means what used to be called non-financial fluff is now moving right into the big leagues of corporate reporting. Okay, think of it like this. For decades, we've had a clear rulebook for a company's finances, right? Well, now we're getting a parallel rulebook, but for sustainability. It's a totally new, standardized way to measure how a company is performing on risks that, don't always show up on a traditional balance sheet. At least, not until it's way too late. So, what are these standards exactly? Well, they're a set of 77 industry-specific guides. And that's the key. This isn't some one-size-fits-all checklist. Nope. They pinpoint the unique sustainability issues that are most likely to have a real dollars and cents impact on a company in one particular sector. And this is absolutely the most crucial point. This isn't just about PR or, a let's be green campaign. The entire purpose of these standards is to get companies to talk about things that could genuinely affect their bottom line. We're talking their cash flows, their ability to even get a loan or how much that loan is going to cost them. It's all about connecting sustainability directly to financial value. All right, to really get a feel for this, let's stop talking in hypotheticals and zoom way in. We're going to look at one industry we all have in our homes, building products and furnishings. This is where we can see this new rulebook in action for real. So what kind of companies are we talking about here? It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the companies that make the furniture in our offices, the flooring we walk on every day, the plywood and lumber that actually build our houses. Literally, the stuff that's all around us. Now, for this industry in particular, the SASB standard flags a few key risks, but one of the biggest, by far, is energy. You see, the way these companies manage their power consumption isn't just some environmental footnote. It's a major material financial risk. And the reason for that is actually super simple. Turning raw materials, wood, metal, all that stuff, into finished products, like a chair or a floor tile, takes a massive amount of power. These manufacturing processes are just incredibly energy intensive, period. But what's really fascinating is where they get that energy from. Look at this. Their single biggest source, by a long shot, is just purchased electricity from the grid. Yeah, they burn some fuel on site, but their number one vulnerability is their dependence on that external power cord. And that creates this huge trade-off. If they stick with traditional grid power, which is often tied to fossil fuels, they're exposing themselves to crazy price swings and the risk of new climate rules. But on the other hand, if they shift to renewables, which are getting cheaper all the time, they can lock in stable costs and just have a lot less risk to worry about. And this quote, wow, it just nails it. This is straight from the standard summary, and it says everything. These companies are often working with razor-thin profit margins. That means even a tiny little spike in their electricity bill or a tiny saving from being more efficient can have a huge impact on whether they actually make or lose money. Okay, so if energy is this critical financial risk, how do you even measure it? How could an investor compare one furniture company to another? Well, this is where the standard brings amazing clarity. It basically boils it all down to just 3 key numbers.
First up, the big picture. How much energy is the company using in total from all sources? This gives us a baseline, a starting point for the company's overall energy appetite.
Second, and this one is critical, what slice of that total energy pie comes from the grid? A high number here is like a flashing warning light for an investor. It tells you that company is really exposed to those unpredictable electricity prices we were just talking about. And third, what percentage of their total energy is renewable? This number is the flip side. It shows you how proactive the company is being. Are they just sitting back and accepting the risk, or are they actually investing in more stable, cleaner energy like solar or wind? So let's put it all together. You look at a chart for a hypothetical company like this, and those 3 numbers instantly tell a story. With 70% of its power coming from the grid, yep, this company is highly exposed. But that 20% in renewables, that's a good sign. It shows they have a strategy to bring that risk down over time. An investor can see both the problem and the progress in one simple glance. So we have these 3 numbers. so what? What's the ultimate impact? Well, this is where it all comes together. It's about turning a few simple data points into much, much smarter decisions for both investors and, as a result, for the planet. It basically creates this powerful feedback loop. First, all the companies start reporting using the exact same metrics. That means investors can finally make real apples-to-apples comparisons. So what happens next? Naturally, money starts flowing to the companies that are managing their energy risk better, the leaders. And that, in turn, puts immense pressure on the laggards to clean up their act or risk getting left behind. For an investor, the benefits are just crystal clear. You can instantly see who the leaders and laggards are. You can actually put a number on the risk a company is carrying from volatile energy prices. You can spot opportunities in companies that are getting ahead of the curve. And maybe most importantly, you get a real peek behind the curtain at how management is thinking about the long term. And that really brings us right to the core takeaway here. This kind of reporting moves the whole conversation beyond just what a company says its values are. It gives you hard data about how they are managing real risks that directly impact their long-term financial value. It proves that smart energy management is, quite simply, smart business. So the next time you look at a piece of furniture, you can think about that hidden story of energy and risk behind it. And that really leads us with a final thought, doesn't it? Now that you know the right questions to ask about a company's energy strategy, which ones out there are actually providing the most valuable answers?